Guide to Healing Chronic Pain, a Holistic Approach, an Evolutionary Healer book, and I'm super excited that you're here with me today. Now, many of our tribe are highly sensitive souls, and if you happen to be one of our new tribe members, yay! I'd love to make sure that you have my free gift called the Sensitive Soul Empowerment Guide. You can get that at sensitivesoulguide.com, and it explains 3 ways in navigating your way to more peace, positivity, and personal power so you can manifest the life of your dreams and fulfill your mission and, just really enjoy a life, create a life of joy. Now, today's guest, Peter Shanks, a friend of mine, and Peter's been on my show several times, and one of the things that's most exciting about Peter's work that I have been a big fan of is his healing software, because he's not only just a spiritual teacher, but he's also, a computer programmer, so he's got this left brain, right brain thing going, and we have had several shows about some of the amazing programs that he has, software programs, AquaWare, which, I actually was like, hey, Peter, can you add this to AquaWare? Can you add this to AquaWare? So it was like all these different healing intentions. And my favorite story has to be when I was with my young people, and we were gathering I have a lot of stories, but this one's really fun. We were gathering together, and I was showing them this program, and I said, well, what do you want to try? And they're like, well, let's try ayahuasca. And I'm like, okay. So we tried that. Now, I don't know if they noticed anything for themselves, but I totally noticed for myself that I was just really even more super relaxed that night and having so much fun and laughing, and it was totally awesome. I was like, I like this program. And then there's the Source, which helps with manifesting. And then I've also used Light Body. We actually did a little video yesterday, so if you haven't caught that, check that out on my Facebook Light Warrior Network group. It's a private group, and we actually showed you on video, some examples of this, and you can actually charge your water. We did the Flush for the Light Body, which is for helping you slim down. And there's lots of other really, really cool programs. So guess what? Peter has now created a platform where PC users, cell phone users, Mac users can now access all of his software program in one fell swoop for a low monthly fee. And this is super, super exciting because people have been asking me over the years, when's Peter going to make it for Mac? And when are we going to, for this? And now we have. So if you're brand new, we're going to talk about, how we can remove old frequency patterns that have been standing in the way of you achieving optimal health, happiness, and financial freedom. How, being able to charge your water with these high vibrational frequencies and cancel out the negative frequencies that you might hold in your body, not knowing you have it, can improve all aspects of your life. Finding balance, gaining clarity, letting go of negativity, embracing your power, being able to increase synchronicity. And if you have questions to ask Peter, now is the time to ask this question live. So the number to call in is hang on, where am I? Okay, 818-514-1190 and hit 1 so we know your hand is up. We'll be opening it up for questions later. 818-514-1190 and hit 1. And without further ado, hi, Peter.
Hey, Karen, how are you?
I'm doing great. Congratulations on the launch. I see you have lots of great products, not just software, but you have some physical products that some people really resonate with the physicality of it to help people heal and manifest. So congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a long road, but it's just keep pushing the envelope, and as long as the universe wants me to do what I'm doing, the ideals will continue to come into fruition.
Yeah, it just seems like you're just, manifesting all these amazing ways that people can connect to their own source within and, help them heal, help them manifest. And I know you have a ton of stories as well, and we'll ask you for some of those a little later in the show. But for people that don't know you, that are new to my tribe, maybe give us a little background of how does somebody get, first of all, computer programming, and then how did you get into the whole spirituality, energy healing part of your career, so to speak?
So I had a 20-year career working for one of the world's largest investment banks. And about halfway through my tenure with the bank, I had a wake-up experience. Now, some people's wake-up experiences take a lifetime. Some take decades. Some take a few years. Mine was the speed of thought. And the only way to describe that experience was to understand what it came from. which was a very just a world that revolved around money. I had no love of self. I didn't even know what discernment was. Unconditional love of self didn't exist. I didn't really care about anything or anybody except for my immediate family, and it was just about making money. That was it. Period. End of story. In the early 2000s, in the summer, I had an experience, and only in the experience can you truly understand it, but human words pale when it comes to describing it. So if you can imagine seeing the whole world through your physical eyes in black and white, the next moment everything was in high definition color. And I was being impulsed to help people. And, I had accrued these crazy technology skills over the years, working with the best of the best for a long time. And for about 6 weeks after that wake-up experience, I thought I had gone insane. I was seeing energy in everything. I was manipulating energy. And the only thing that kept me going was the idea that I was better in that moment and becoming something much greater than myself than I was in my entire life. And crazier or not, it never stops. It just keeps flourishing. So I started seeking out like-minded people, and I got very, very turned off by what I found in the world. And I told Source, or the universe, that basically if you're going to want me to do this for the rest of my days, you're going to give me everything I need when I need it, and I'm going to carve my own path through solid rock, and I'm not going to follow anyone else. Everything and anything I do from this point forward will be straight from you to me to the world. And that was kind of the early years, the beginning. Then I was starting to be impulsed with helping people, and I started doing energy work with people. And I have had this huge pipe back to source energy that allows me to manipulate a lot of my reality on the fly in real time. And I was watching some videos by Dr. Emoto, who's a brilliant Japanese researcher, that prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can manipulate the structure of water based on frequencies. So at the time, I knew that I could capture the frequency of anything in existence, and I would be able to put it into water. But how would I be able to do that? And that's when the idea of writing a piece of software that would allow you to select an intention and then consciously direct the light frequencies of that intention into water came into fruition. So I set out and I started writing some little crappy programs at the time. And the first one that we released into the world was one called First Water. And it had 10 selectable intents. We gave it away for free. And after about 2 months, we shut it down because the response to what we had created was scary. It was working, and it was working at light speed. And the whole idea of how is that possible? Well, after that wake-up experience, I understood that if you have the ability to unlimit your thinking, you can thereby unlimit your potential. And you can do real magic in the world. You can create real change, not like just talking about it like most people do, but actually talking and creating an action that spawns a reaction. And that reaction is love and vibration. That's really true change in the world. So I set out to write a piece of software that would change people's lives, something that you could program water with. You could take it internally to bring about changes in the body. You could apply it to the skin, or you could use it in the environment. So on July 4th, 2007, the first commercial product I ever created was born, called Aquaware. And at the time, it had 180 selectable intents, I think over like 6 categories. And over time, as the technology started to evolve, so did the ideas So, the first interview we did was on the Source version 1, I think about 10 years ago. The Source was a piece of technology that would take the Achilles heel out of manifesting. Most people, and what the ancient scripts and what everyone has regurgitated over the last 5,000 years tell us that if you want to manifest something, you think about it in your head, you release it to the universe comes by, brings it upstream in your reality, and starts creating these energetic pathways to bring it into fruition. Sounds really simple, but why can't 99.99999% of the people on the planet manifest anything on the fly? Why? Because they have doubt or worry along the path, and that's the time by which it's released from your head and brought into fruition. So the Source was a offshoot of the AquaSync core technology, and what we wanted to do was allow you to impress the light frequencies of your intention or the thing you wanted to bring into manifestation into water, not to the universe. And when you drink the water, the intention would then, with the program water, would come down in the body and immediately exit the body on what we call light rays, right? The universe would come by and pick up the light rays and then start creating your manifestation in real time, thereby taking the human equation out of it, or the Achilles heel. And it worked absolutely brilliantly. So then after the Source came the 12th project. The 12 projects, the original versions were built upon something that was in the consciousness grid, and it was the 12 gods of Olympus. So the school of thought was that since we're all spirit energy living the human experience, that we had left breadcrumbs somewhere along the way for us to remember our true purpose and who we were. So the 12th project was about 12 virtual chakras outside the body, each one containing information or gifts to help you remember your true potential and who you are. And then in later iterations, we introduced the 7 physical chakras and then 3 levels above that. Then came Light Body. Light Body was a beautiful program built for one purpose, which is weight loss and body toning. So we built the technology again from the AquaSync core engine into an offshoot. Then came Smoke Erase, which was to help you quit smoking, and then of course Navitus was a free application that we gave everyone that was built off the core technology, and it had one intention, and that was high energy. So, fast forward 15 years, this team has been redefining this technology over the years. Now, about 2 years ago, a couple of years after the 5th generation of the technology was released, I decided that it was time to leapfrog any potential competition that we had. And there is no competition because no one has created what this team has accomplished in terms of programming water, utilizing the power of the microprocessor, right, in a computer. So programming water has been around forever. Monks would hold hands, chant around the body of water for hours or days to raise the vibration. Well, all the technology utilizes the one simple fact that a microprocessor will do one thing 1,000,000 times a second, and you don't have to hold your attention on anything. So people would come to me and say, Peter, why can't I program a glass of water with love? I said, you absolutely can.
Right.
And then I said, how long can you hold your attention for? Oh, I don't know. How about if I told you that one intention from Aquaware will raise the vibration and inject the intention into that water 10,000 times more powerful than 100 monks doing it for 100 days. And it kind of boggles the mind because we're utilizing state-of-the-art technology. So everything I create, right, represents past, present, and future in the now. Ancient knowledge built on state-of-the-art technology, metallurgy, fabrication processes, and everything is in a futuristic design now. So to understand how the technology works, you have to kind of go back to basics, right? If you have a belief system that everything is made up of energy, that energy is all interconnected, that interconnectedness is what we call the quantum realm. It is your consciousness in the center of everything. The past and the present rage around your consciousness all the time. So if you want to program water, it absolutely does not have to be next to your computer or your cell phone. I'll get into that in a second. It can be a case of water in your refrigerator downstairs. It can be a body of water on the other side of the planet or a cup of coffee on Mars. The technology uses proprietary algorithms, which I wrote eons ago, that allows the intention, your consciousness, and the target water all to come together in the center of your consciousness, right? That quantum realm. So space, time, and distance are completely irrelevant. Where you put your attention, you set the intention. So after the 5th generation of all the software was stable and out in the world for a couple of years, I started thinking about, okay, what can we do for Aquaware 6, the Source 6? And, at that time, 2 years ago, web technology had really come of age in the last 4 years. I mean, it always leapfrogs what you can do on a computer and vice versa, but in the last 4 years, it's really come of age. And the idea was, well, I can probably port the technology to the Mac OS, an Apple iPhone, Android. So then, of course, I've got, every platform I want to cover, but all these offshoots of the technology, now fragmentation starts, and I won't allow that to happen. So then the idea of a SaaS platform was born, software as a service. So traditionally, every piece of software I create is always been a Windows downloadable 32 or 64-bit version, right? And you could only run the software on a PC. And as you stated in the beginning, people on Macs, they were always upset. People on iPhones. So the SaaS platform offered exactly what I wanted, and it had matured to the point where in the 6th generation, now known as the AquaSync suite of MDM software products, AquaSync, we were able to take the biggest update we had ever done. This is a complete rewrite of the technology from the ground up to work on any device, anywhere, anytime that has simply a web browser and a data connection. Now think about that for a second. You can access all of it at your fingertips. There's nothing to download. You have nothing to store locally. Everything is stored on the MDM cloud. All of your profiles, all of your quantum layering sessions, all of your intentions that you write, all of your source, arrays that you create, they are stored in the cloud. You own nothing. You simply rent. So we went to the next logical choice, which is instead of spending several $100s on a downloadable and then spending half of that every 2 or 3 years, you can now subscribe to the software at a very reasonable price. So then it became, okay, well, how do we want to dissect this? Some people only want to use Aquaware, but then they want this, or they want that. I said, you know what? It's not about the money. I want everyone to enjoy this technology. So what we do, we threw in the kitchen sink as well. You get everything for a low monthly price now. And you can take it anywhere you want.
That is so awesome. Yeah, this, I know before when we talked, there was just so much capability for each one individually. And now that it's so portable and you have access to all of it, it's just, mind-blowing what people can do. And I know one of the questions that might come up for you, Peter, is like, hey, Peter, you have this amazing software, and now you've got this platform. Why do people, I don't want to say the word bother, but why do people buy the physical products that you have versus the software? Like, why is there even a physical product?
So that's a great question, too, by the way. So, when I started this venture, it was energetic healing. Then it was motivational speaking. Then it was life coaching, not certified, but just kind of all clumped together. And then, the way the game is played, okay, and this is a game, is, inherently humans always strive for a higher vibration in life, in anything we do. And the universe always wants to give you everything because it loves you absolute, no matter who you are, what you intend to do. And it's all built around vibration, right? So the higher you vibrate, the more love and vibration you can spread in the world. But it's not given freely, it's earned. And it's earned through work. But here's the trick. The work is fun. So people would ask me, well, how do I achieve what you've done? I said, well, you probably won't be able to achieve what I've done, but you can certainly follow your own path and figure it out. And it's simply done with basics. Smile at somebody. Get involved. Let the poor guy out in the traffic. And when you do, you're not only creating positive karma, but you're creating vibration. So the universe takes notice of that and gives you a bit of information. And what you do with that information determines if you move to a higher octave. So as I started out, doing energetic sessions and all this other stuff, then, I built Aquaware 18 months, 10 hours a day after my full-time job. It came into fruition. I had created the action that spawned a reaction. The reaction was, okay, here's something else that you can do. And, the universe doesn't communicate like me and you are communicating. It never could. What it does is it leads you through an experience that allows your mind in the experience to fully understand the next level of technology, the next level of information, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because
Absolutely.
we had completed Aquaware, then I was shown how to build a source and down the line. So from that, during that, I was also doing workshops. I was doing shows, radio shows, teleseminar series. And the more vibration I pushed into the world, the more it happened. Now, back in, I'll give you a beautiful example of how this works. So back in the summer of 2008, I was being impulsed to work with gold, physical gold, to see if I could take 10 grams of gold and double it. So what I would do is, I didn't know what I was really doing. I was just kind of following universal direction. And I knew, based on my schooling, that when a chemical reaction happens that is violent, that is energy expansion. So I would take 10 grams of gold and I would drop it into aqua regia. And aqua regia is a acid compound that will dissolve all platinum group metals, gold, platinum, iridium. So it's 3-part nitric acid, 1 part hydrochloric. You mix it up, drop your gold in there, come back in 10 hours, and it's gone. Then you apply formic acid to neutralize the hydrochloric. Then you add sodium borohydrate to reconstitute that gold. And when you add that sodium borohydrate and it hits a certain temperature, it creates a violent chemical reaction for about 3 minutes, maybe less. So the idea was during that chemical reaction, I could put that on sacred geometry, right? and I didn't know what I was doing, but this was the building
Sounds
blocks.
dangerous.
Dude, this was the building blocks that gave me the information to build physical products 10 years later, 12 years later, and I had no idea. And so the information that was spawned from that was 0 point, right? So outside of our realm of consciousness, there is a multitude of universes, an infinite amount of universes, and the only thing that remains constant in all of those multiverses is the density of matter, the weight of matter. It's a universal law. It always has to be balanced. So what does that mean? So during that chemical reaction, I could push through that energy and have gold come back from another universe. Sounds crazy, right? That's 0 point technology. And the experiments were never very successful. Maybe we had small increments or lost some, but who knew? And I was kind of disappointed, but I knew that information would come into where it would be useful later on. So in 2015, I left my 20-year career, and I set out I wanted to create physical products, right? I wanted to create something, and it had to be amazing. It had to be powerful, just like the software, a decade before. And I was going to make it out of gold and platinum. And I was thinking, well, who the hell is going to buy something that's $25,000, And I wanted to exactly. I wanted to revolutionize an industry. So I thought long and hard about it, and 3 seconds later, I was like, oh, my God, driving sucks. We hate driving. As an adult, there's road rage. You get stuck in traffic. You got to pay, whatever. So it all came together, okay? I was going to build a device for your car that would take all of the negativity and wash it through the 0 point and return it as pristine energy at the speed of thought. And what was born from that was the Harmonic field amplifier, a new way to travel. It was a device that was made out of copper and silver. The copper would attract all the negativity. The silver creates and stabilizes the field, and it just gets pushed down into that spiral, a clockwise spiral on one side, and at the speed of thought on the other side, it gets returned as pristine energy. So over the course of that year, we had the HFA New Way to Travel, we had the HFA Mini, we had the HFA Plus, and because you're given the plans for that information, what you do on it determines if you move to a higher octave. As I was working on these products, I was gathering the information for the next level of technology. Then came the IM series, the IM bracelets, the IM pyramids, okay? What I learned from that spawned another level of technology, which was the Terra Resonators. The Terra Resonators, we had the first generation, and I took all of my knowledge from that, and we created the second generation of them. Because I produced a reaction through the experience, then showed me how to create the wishing spheres. Because the first wishing sphere was uber successful, I was given the plans for 2 more, which are coming online very shortly. Because I moved through that, then I was given the Holy Grail, which will be out before the end of the year, and they're healing wands. I'm not going to reveal the name of them yet, but they are the most beautiful wands you've ever seen. And it's not like Tinkerbell wands. These are hand-forged, hand-stamped copper in an ancient finish that has a red, a blue, a green, and a yellow crystal, each on one end. The left one will use scalar technology, okay? The right one will use tachyon technology. There'll be movements, coordinated, exact movements through the body to help you heal yourself. So there's a lot of fun stuff coming. So the whole gist of the whole story is when you act out of love and kindness to help spread more love and vibration, you not only get the karmic energy that comes back to you, but you also get moved to another level. Okay, and all of this, and I have bore witness to so many miracles personally. I can't even begin to because you just forget because they happen every day. But the universe, if something comes in your path, okay, that stops you from getting that product out into the world, the universe will come by and take it out. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter. So when I create a product, the first thing I always do is start with the name. I have no idea what the product's going to be. So here's a good example, the Myrrh Compass Rose, right? So I had an idea, and I wanted to create something that would remove all negativity from your land. So I was just, I was like, okay, bring it, and they show me a rose. I'm like, what is that? And then they show me a compass. I'm like, really? I'm like, what's that? And then they showed me the word myrrh, and I was like, compass, rose, myrrh. I was trying to put it together. I was like, myrrh, compass, rose. And at the time, I didn't know that myrrh was one of the 3 gifts that were given when Jesus was born. So, again, that's a perfect example of setting the precedence. The name comes in, and then each level by level as you are walked through the process, first and foremost, of understanding the responsibility that you're given to create products that really promote and push real change into the world. This isn't lip service. These are physical products that we sell out of all the time. Why? Because they work, and they work extremely efficiently and easily. Nothing has any moving parts. You don't have to plug it into the wall, and once you activate it, it uses universal energy, and it runs forever.
So I want to say that I really resonate with the story because when I was developing my healing modality, or before I developed it, I said to the universe, well, heck, there's a whole bunch of amazing energy healing out there already, right? Like so many different energy types and products, and why? What's the purpose of me creating yet another one, right? And the answer I got was that it was part of my purpose, which seems like okay, that's fine. And the other part, which it sounds very similar to what you're doing, is that it evolves us, and not only evolves us, it evolves the rest of the world, of all of humanity in this case. And then the third piece is that it's part of the soul expression of who we really are. So a lot of this is this amazing expression of that universal love and energy in Peter Shank's unique way. Like your way is going to be different from my way. It's going to be different from Kathy's way. And I think it's really, really cool because some of us do have that question like, why can't I do this? Or why should I even put it out there? Because my stuff isn't as good as so-and-so stuff, or some judgments that we have there. But you just, showed that you were just led piece by piece by piece by piece and really trusting that process of going, well, I have no idea where this is going exactly, but I'm guided, to do this. It feels right, and you just kind of go for it. So, for that piece, I think you're a wonderful and lovely inspiration, for people to show how that all works.
When you have complete and utter devotion to put everyone else before you, the magic that you're creating in that moment and the karma that you're creating in that moment comes back to you. And everything I do is physically, draining some days. It really is. But it's not work. When you have the ability to gain mastery over whatever you decide to do in life, it doesn't become work. You're in love. You're creating love. You're making love to your work. And when you do, that signature never leaves what you put out into the world, ever.
That's great. Now, for somebody who's looking at your work, Peter, and going, wow, there's so many amazing things, there's so many amazing products, there's software, there's physical wear, if you will, how do they choose, if they're not as maybe as connected to their intuition or whatever, how would they kind of choose what to start with, what to, based on what they do, or anyway, anything that you can suggest as far as advice?
Knowingness reigns supreme. Knowingness is everything. But it's the knowingness of truly not knowing what you want that brings forth what exactly you need. So if you're online on the MDM store, moderndaymystic.com, and you're looking through stuff, something will scream at you. And know, absolute, that you never pick a product. The product always chooses you. You can also call me. I'm very close to my customer base. I don't have an answering service. I answer every phone call personally that comes through. Why? Because I'm the source by which everything was created, and you're never going to get steered wrong if you ask me a question about a product. But just knowing that the product will pick you is really the best way to go.
Okay, that's great advice. And here's a question about manifesting, which we talked about the source, that particular software program about manifesting. You have so many different options and to literally play with this program. How does one actually set an intention for the source? Do we imagine it? Do we write it down? Do we say it out loud? How does that all work?
So I offer two different lines of products for manifesting, one physical, one software. The source is a software program, which I described before, on bringing things into fruition, typically within 72 hours. The key to manifesting anything in life, no matter what tool you're using to help you doing it, is knowing what you want and having absolute devotion that once you have activated whatever tool you use, to just let it go and trust in the universe that it will come into fruition. And that is knowing what you want. Nobody knows what they want. They think they do, but they don't. I always use a red Ferrari as an example. Okay, there's two forms of manifesting. There's unconscious manifestation and there's conscious manifestation. Unconscious manifestation is a deja vu. It's a blip in the matrix. It's a synchronicity. You're driving down the highway, and for some reason in your mind you think of a red Ferrari, and a minute later a red Ferrari drives by. That happens to us hundreds of times a day. Most of the time you're just not aware of it. Okay? That's unconscious manifestation. That happens to us all the time. Conscious manifestation is easy to understand in theory, but is incredibly difficult to do in practical application. You want to manifest a red Ferrari. Well, you're thinking, oh my God, I know, it's going to be red, it's going to be a V12, and you see it in your head, you start the engine, you're waxing it, you smell the leather, or the exhaust, whatever, and then you're like, oh, it's going to show up in my driveway the next day. Well, you know what? It's never going to show up in your driveway. Why? Because it doesn't make sense. Okay? The manifestation, the universe only wants to give you what you want all the time. But applying how it's going to be delivered is detrimental in destroying the thought form the same way as if you have doubt or worry. Your job is to just know what you want and forget about how you're going to get it. Forget it, right? I want that red Ferrari. It's just not going to show up in your driveway because that doesn't make sense. But what will happen is some long-lost relative will send you a check that you'll get the next day, and boom, there's the money to go buy your red Ferrari. I have seen this. There's over 1,000 written and video testimonials on the MDM website, and a large portion of those are geared around bringing things into fruition. And people tell their stories on how they do it, and they're very touching, and I read every one of them. I post them all the time. And the second line of products that helps with bringing things into fruition is the Terra Resonator line. There are 3 in the world today. There's the Terra Resonator Tornado, the Typhoon, which is the middle one, and the Black, which is the much, much larger one. And basically each one has different configurations to it, but they use Earth's energy to pull in all of this energy, and through energetic channels and different moldavite and rubies combination and even meteorites on the black, it pushes all of that energy into a lab-grown laser-engraved quartz crystal plate, okay? And the plate vibrates as soon as you activate it at this crazy high level. And the idea was that anything that you place on it will vibrate at the same rate as the plate within 33 seconds. So what does that mean? You can put wine on there. You can put a plate of food on there. You can put your crystals on there. You can put anything you want on there. And 33 seconds later, it's vibrating. A byproduct of this technology was the use of bringing things into fruition. You can manifest with these. So people go like, well, how can I manifest? They're like, I know what I want. What do? I write it down on a piece of paper. So what people were doing was they were taking a ballpoint pen, writing it on a piece of paper and putting it on there, and nothing was happening. I was like, no. You're not asking. You are commanding what you want to bring into fruition. You don't use a ballpoint pen. You get a piece of old parchment paper, something ancient looking. You take a bold black Sharpie and you craft your intention, okay? And it's not to be timid or loosey-goosey or whatever. You are making a declaration to the universe of something you command to be brought into fruition. And you don't fold it up nice and neat. You fold it up in some whacked-out geometry. When you are bold, daring, and different, you stand out. And that is all, again, a different way of playing the bring whatever I want in the fruition game. And it works great.
Oh, that's fascinating. There are people that would say, hey, Peter, there's some things that people want that isn't necessarily for their highest and greatest good, and if the universe wants to give you everything you want, then how does that all work? Is that a myth?
So if I'm understanding you, if they have, if they want to use technology like that for not the betterment of someone else, or use it for something
okay, I'll give you an example from my superpower book. So there was a guy that who was the security guard where I used to work long time ago, like when I was in med school. And he would come in and he'd talk my ear off. He was actually really kind of funny, but he's this big like 350-pound guy. That he'd be like, I'm going to marry Kim Basinger. And I was like, okay. You don't even know who she is. Like, 9.5 weeks was really hot back then, right? And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to marry her. And I said, well, do you have to marry someone with, 35, 24, 36? And he goes, absolutely. That is absolutely a must. And I'm looking at him going, you're a security guard. You're 350 pounds. I think you eat a little bit too many donuts. Why would you think Kim Basinger would want to marry you? Like, I was really judgmental back then, right? So this is an obvious idea of something he wants. It's not going to harm anybody, for him marrying Kim Basinger. But I was like, really? What about the redhead that really loves you for who you are, and maybe she's 36, 24, 35. Maybe she's doesn't look like Kim Basinger, but she's gorgeous. Like, what about her? You know what I mean? Like, he just totally was like, nope, it has to be Kim Basinger, right? So, so that's the example I'm giving you.
So, again, he sounds like he knows what he wants, but it has to make sense. Marrying Kim Basinger, who was probably already married at the time, doesn't make sense. So the manifestation would not come into fruition. And here's the thing that you have to remember. Your human imagination is not the most powerful force in creation. It's the universe itself. Okay? So when source manifestations come into fruition, or Terra Resonator intentions come into fruition, it's always more perfect and balanced than what you originally asked for. And only if you have, there's two ways manifestations don't work, three ways actually. If you have doubt or worry, if you don't know what you want, or to answer your more to the point to answer your question, when if you want to bring something into fruition that alters your trajectory for an experience, it absolutely will not happen. Or if the time and the place for that contract to be fulfilled isn't the time. So, for instance, on that point, you do beautiful energy healing yourself, Karen, and I'm sure you've had clients that have come to you and said, I have gone to everybody and no one has helped me, but you are the one person that can help me. And that's based off a soul contract, right? And in my opinion, a soul contract is only when the time and the place of the great work to be done, and you are the other upholder of that contractor to do the great work, which is the healing in whatever capacity it's going to be, it just doesn't work. So bringing things into fruition is the same thing. If it doesn't make sense, doubt or worry, it's just not going to work, period.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, I do sometimes have, I'm not even going to say arguments or debates with my healer friends, but something along those lines where, their go-to explanation for people's issues is that, they have blocks. Okay, so we need to remove the blocks, or they have entities, and they need to clean their soul and whatever. And
man, don't even get me started.
Okay. So my take, at least what I've been told, and maybe I'm completely wrong. Okay, I'm okay with being completely wrong, but when I've had my conversations, and I do ask, because that's my healing modality, is really about asking why and helping people understand that. So in the bigger picture, I ask Source, why is it that so and so is done all this amazing, incredible work, and she still has these crazy symptoms, right? And then somebody else can just, stop eating sugar, and they're completely fine. And you're like, it doesn't seem fair, right? And then the answer I get is well, it depends on their spiritual purpose, and it depends on, what their contract is, what their mission is, and there's, so-called, I call them spiritual responsibility levels. So when people say, Dr. Karen, you shouldn't be sick at all, you should never have pain, and, because if you're such a high-level healer, you should never have symptoms, that's the attitude. They don't say that to my face, right? But I was like, wait a second, okay, so I am feeling Mother Earth at this time, and I check in, I'm supposed to. Well, I ask God, why am I supposed to feel Mother Earth at this time? Well, because there's a job to do. I was like, okay, so I do the job for Mother Earth, and wow, look at that, I feel better. So, like I said, I could be completely wrong, but would just love your personal take on that. I think everyone's experience is what their experience is supposed to be to a certain extent.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't have any human teachers, none. Everything I have learned has been through trusted information that I've been allowed access to. So the purity of what I know, what I share, what I give away for free only comes from one place. I never read, I never watch anything anybody else is doing. And if it is, it's a very, very rare occasion, because I don't want to be, I don't want my filters to be compromised at all on any level. And I don't allow that energy from others to come into my sphere of creativity. So everything I do is from a place of innocence, childlike love, right? So, 60 product launches in the last 5 years, and, a whole plethora of mind-bending products on the horizon, and we still have 3 product launches left this year. That's all innocence. That's childlike energy that has been endowed to me, based on the reaction.
Based on doing your work, your way, to be that intimate relationship with Source.
You see, I don't have that pretty waterfall, candles and kumbaya attitude. That's not who I am. I'm dedicated, devoted to gain mastery in what I do as I move forward with it. But it's a one-way street. It's going to be my way or the highway with the universe, and they give me exactly what I want when I need it to get the job done, because they know without a shred of doubt that once the idea of creativity is in my head and it makes sense. I will not stop until that product sees the light of day, because there's people that need it in whatever capacity that it's going to be delivered.
Right. And so when people say, "Hey, Peter, I have Aquaware, and I've asked for," I'll give you a perfect example. This is a theoretical example, but they say, "Hey, I have your Aquaware, and I want to feel less. Like, I don't want to be so empathetic. I don't want to feel other people's stuff," right? And then they try it, and they go, "Well, Peter, it's not working," or in their perception, it's not working. So how would you answer that kind of question?
The software always works. It's just, is it in your highest good at the time? So, the baseline for all of this is it's proven scientifically to work. It has been around for thousands of years. Water is the most programmable material on the planet. Okay, I interviewed Dr. Emoto's right-hand woman, Chandini LeRae, a few years back. And she was so blown away by what I had accomplished and created that she told me on the air that Dr. Emoto would have been very proud of you to create this. Now, I didn't know him in life, but I sure knew him in death. And the baseline is energy and water. So that's why we created Navitus. Navitus is free again today on the website under the AquaSync tab. You just register for it and you have full access to it. And that's the one that always works. And it's high energy. You just simply click the button, put your attention on a glass of water, and 10 seconds later, 13 seconds later, that water has been changed, and you can taste it. The water is oily. It's smooth. And when it's in your body, there's no doubt that you feel the energy raising you like a Red Bull squared sometimes. And, you don't have to take my word for it. Go watch and read the testimonials and completely use Navitus for free as long as you want. It's not, the SaaS platform with the subscription model is a completely different animal than where we used to be. I could charge 10 times a month what I'm charging for these products, and I don't, because I really wanted, in the 6th generation, for people to get the full use out of these products. And Navitus is a great way to get your feet wet and see what it's all about.
That's great. So can you walk people step by step on how they get to your website and how do they find this Navitus to try this technology out?
Sure. All you have to do is go to www.moderndaymystic.com, and whether you're on a cell phone or a desktop, you'll see the AquaSync tab. And you click on that, and that brings you into the portal. And the portal explains 3 options for you. You can sign up for a monthly subscription. You can sign up for a yearly subscription, which saves you, I think, a month or 2. Or you can sign up for a lifetime subscription, meaning, and once you're signed up, as long as the technology is readily available, you get everything for free. I mean, even if you're subscribing at a monthly or a yearly, all the updates are free. And what we decided to do was to push updates twice a year. And so the next large update, which is going to be very large to the current version, will be in January 2022. And then the next upgrade after that will be in the June-July timeframe of 2022. So again, you enter into the portal. All the information is there. You can simply sign up for a free Navitus account, and you can, see if the technology works to your liking on your Android device, your iPhone, iTablet, iPad, Android, whatever. And we've tested out quite a few devices. We initially had about 6 months of beta testing with it, And we've hit a large platform of devices out there and little to no issues with all of them.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's great. So if someone is, say, okay, I want to gingerly start out, I want to, thinking about the subscription, and I want to try the Navitus for a while, what kind of, how quickly, quote unquote, would results occur in most people? Like, what's that time frame? Is it like half a day? Is it like a week? Is it like a month? Like,
it's instant.
What?
You drink a glass of program water and watch how your energy level rises instantly. There is no hour, 2 hours. It's instant. As soon as you consume it,
and this is safe for people
that
have adrenal fatigue. I know this question is going to come up. So, is it safe for people with adrenal fatigue to have something that seemingly caffeinates them because they've been told they're not?
So, with anything new that you're trying, you should always heed caution. The software itself has many safeguards built in. The ultimate safeguard is the universe, right? But with Aquaware, there is a power level on every intention that you use, and what we always tell people to do is start off slow. Program a glass of water with Navitus, right? Navitus, I believe, doesn't have a power level, so it's set pretty high. And just take a couple sips. Close your eyes and watch what happens. Go slow. Slow and heed caution. This technology works. It's mind-blowingly efficient. And like anything else that you're using, just go slow and, listen to yourself. Don't use your brain, it implies logic. Don't use your heart because you're invoking emotion. Go with your gut.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And another question that's come up is, do you have any scientific proof or data that it changes the water, anything like that?
So that's a great question, and the answer is yes. There was a book author and a Russian scientist, Sarah Levine. I forget her partner's name, but they ran all kinds of tests, and what they had confirmed prior to Aquaware was that program water only lasts 30 seconds. When they programmed water with Aquaware, I think it was version 4, there was no end to the programming, and I simply told them there never will be until it's microwaved, it evaporates, or it's reprogrammed. So there's been,
yeah, that's great.
It's also like anything else. Read other people's experiences with it. Karen, you've been using it for years. You've had really good results with it. I'm not out there advertising anywhere. Everything I do is by word of mouth. If you have a great experience with it, then you're going to tell 10 people, and they're going to come in and play. So go slow. Use your own intuition, and don't listen to what anybody else says. Gather your own results, and how you use it.
Yeah, great. That's fantastic. And so in the time we have remaining, if you would like to ask Peter a question, now is the time to raise your hand. The number to call in is 818-514-1190. Hit 1 so we know your hand is up. If you want to share an experience as well, you can do that. I would love to hear that from you as well. So 818-514-1190 and hit 1. So I can see there's some folks that joined us on the chat here on Blog Talk Radio, as well as the folks that have actually called in. And so I'm just going to be monitoring just to see if anybody raises their hand. So, Peter, let's see, what else can we ask you here? What do you use the most? Curious. Of all your own products.
That's a great question. Everything I create works for me beautifully during the development stage. 95% of the time, it stops working after the initial launch.
What?
I spent years trying to figure that out. Oh, yeah. And I spent years trying to figure that out. And I was never given an answer, so I've only drawn from experiences and my own opinion. And that is, it goes back partially to why can't healers heal themselves efficiently? Why can't you work on loved ones or family members? And the only thing that I could draw a conclusion from was gaining, using something for yourself to gain something that's not earned. Meaning, if you, Karen, came to me and asked me for the lottery numbers tomorrow for the Powerball, and I said, oh, okay, here you go, and I gave you the lottery numbers, 3 things are going to happen, 4 things. 1, you're going to win. Your life is going to go really bad sideways really quick because that money was not meant for you. 2, the money that the person it was meant for, their life is going to go sideways. But 3, I'm going to get the brunt of it because all of that negative karma is going to come back to me and I'll lose everything. So the moment I use something I create for self-gain, I'm lost. So in experiments, those doors are opened back up, for a finite amount of time. If there's a problem or something needs to be tweaked, it all opens up. But every single product I've ever created shuts down after the initial launch, except for the HFA Mini. It's the one product that's never shut down for me because I wear it all the time.
Oh, that's really interesting. Well, I was thinking you might have the best interest to never actually launch something. So but I know you
it's perpetually in development.
Perpetually in development. Just another, 20 years or so. It's working well. Yeah. No, that's pretty interesting. And I know when I was asking sort of similar questions about, healing ourselves completely, utterly, 100% in the way we wish to see it without any help, one of the answers I got was that, you're in a human body for a reason, for an experience, and part of that experience is relationships. And learning and evolving. And if you were by yourself, all by yourself, not talking to anybody, doing whatever healing work you perfectly, you never had to ask any, talk to anybody or have relationships, then it would kind of mess up part of why you said you wanted to be here in this body, in this timeline. So I think that part of it is that learning, evolving, that sharing of that community, that relationship. It actually evolves us further. I think that's one of the reasons why, even though healers can heal themselves to some degree, that sometimes we do need support and help, and to be able to be humble enough to ask for it or to accept it even. At least that's the gist of what I got on my end asking that question. Yeah,
we're speaking the same language. We're just having our own experiences trying to explain it.
Mm-hmm. So now share with us a couple of your favorite stories from the AquaSync. I know you have a ton, so see if you can remember a couple that you could share before we end for today.
So, to be clear, AquaSync is very new. So I can't share anything mind-blowing with it yet, although the testimonials are now starting to come in over the last 30 days or so. But
okay, well, what about Aquaware itself?
So, right. So, I remember there was a woman in Brazil. I got a better one for you. So when we were developing the Source 5, that was the first time that I had done a massive, large-scale public beta. Basically, anyone could download it, use it for a week, and then it would shut down. There was a woman in, I believe, England, one of the Scandinavian countries, Sweden, I believe. And the way, during our conversation about how things are brought into fruition, I made a very bold statement, and I said that it's always brought into fruition more than what your human imagination can imagine, because the perfection is absolute. So this woman wanted to manifest a 4-leaf clover. So she whipped up the source, drank the water, and a couple hours later, I believe she was jogging, and she just decided to lie down in the field. And she had a video of this, right? So she's like, the universe gave me my 4-leaf clover, and she showed it. Now, what are the odds of getting a 4-leaf clover, right? I don't know, 1,000,000 to 1 maybe? But
yeah.
remember, the universe always delivers it better. She twitched her finger, and it was a 5-leaf clover.
Wow. That's
What are the
amazing.
odds of that?
That's
Right?
amazing.
So that one was amazing. There was a woman utilizing Aquaware in Brazil, and there was this scummy cesspool of water, I guess, a body of water behind her house, and it was dirty and had just nasty stuff growing on it. She used Aquaware on the Cleanse and Rejuvenate General for 7 days on the water, and it completely cleared up.
Wow.
There's many. So I've done experiments myself where I've taken glasses of water and instilled intention into them via the software, and I'd have one control sample, or 2 control samples from the same source of water, but one would have an intention, and then you go ahead and you freeze it. I don't have the ability to cut it in half and look under a microscope, but what you can see is these just beautiful vortexes frozen in the water. And then when you look at the one that's not, it's like really hard to look at because there's nothing there. So people have done and sent in pictures of all kinds of experiments that they've done, but it's been around and it has evolved since 2005, so it's been 15 years since we've been developing this. And each year, the code gets tighter, the ideas get grander, and today, Aquaware in the current version, has over 1,000 intentions, and there's probably another 150 coming in the new version in January, plus all the advanced features. So,
That's great.
it's that in itself, I could talk for hours and hours about. But there's some really, really, really good testimonials about healing animals, healing the environment, people creating like the vortex at the head of a sprinkler with some intention and spraying half of their garden with the water. And everything just grows like crazy that had the intention water, right? And the other stuff is just, hodgepodge. So it just goes on and on. The trick is to be a child, discover, learn, explore, and see what works best for you. We give you a lot of options, a lot of advanced stuff, and you just play and have fun. Just be mindful not to overdo it, or you are going to detox, and you don't want that. But just have fun. Learn as you go, We have written manuals coming for the new software. All the manuals now are in video format, but we do have written manuals on the way probably before Christmas.
Oh, fantastic. That's great. Well, one last question from me is about if we were to manifest a new reality where we're all together enjoying world peace, what software would be used?
The source.
Yes. All right. That sounds good to me. And then one last question from our viewers is, Peter, how come you're not saying to use any of the software and directing it to the water inside our bodies? Wouldn't that be more efficient?
No, that's probably the most dangerous thing you can do. And I've done videos around this, and that's a great question. Programming water inside the body is very dangerous. Why? Because, depending on what you read, where you read it, we're 65 to 85% water. The water inside the body is vibrating at different frequencies, different levels to maintain body functionality. And if you program that water inside your body, which you can very easily do, you disrupt the natural harmony within inside the body, and that will cause detoxing on a level you do not want to experience. The next best thing is to program water slowly and smartly outside the body and drink it and allow the changes to gradually work that way.
Okay. And then is it possible to hurt someone,
No.
if you're putting
No.
the intention in
Not at
their
all.
water that they drink without them knowing?
No. So there's multiple levels of security built inside Aquaware, and then the universe is the ultimate level. So if you were to use the software for some ill will, it just wouldn't work. If you wanted to program someone's water without them knowing it, it might work or it might not. So here's an example. Years and years ago, when we were developing the beta version of Aquaware, we had a beta tester that would test the software on the college campus. And what he would do is at a party, he would charge the kegs of beer with social lubricant. Okay? So anyone drinking the beer would just become a chatterbox, right? But if there was an experience to happen at that party, some people would not experience the effects of social lubricant, which turns an introvert into an extrovert. And it's the same thing with programming someone's water when they're not aware of it. If it's going to misguide their experience, it just won't work. And that's just done automatically.
Ah, great. Yes, thank you for that. By the way, folks, as we're chatting here the last couple of minutes, I've opened up the source on my, connected in on my computer and creating my own array for world peace on Earth. So you guys might see that later on. Peter, it's been great having you on the show. So excited about everything that you're doing and, that soul expression. You're a perfect example and inspiration for others to go, wow, what can be possible when we're really tuned in and we really follow that guidance and we're really truly ourselves, not trying to be someone else, not, being influenced in a way that says we're supposed to be a certain way. So you're a perfect example of that. So everyone, moderndaymystic.com is where you connect with Peter and some of this amazing software. Definitely get the Navidesk, check it out. Let's have everybody, maybe I can jump even higher in my axle after charging my water with that. That'd be really fun. Yeah. So again, thanks, Peter, for being on the show. Thanks, everyone, for listening in. Lots of love.